destination of people all over the world, in Egypt, in the Celts, Siberian shamanism, Mayan, and this is very interesting that they all go to this same place.
Uh-huh.
Well, two of the circumpolar constellations are Cassiopeia and Cepheus, who are the king and the queen of the heavens. And they are also, their Cepheus is the Ethiopian king in the Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
As well, this is also Hertha and Odin in the Norse mythology, in the Celtic and Germanic. It's Odin, Wotan, Wodanaz. All these are the same, this one-eyed god that climbs the world tree and that searched for the golden fleece with Jason. He was one of the Argonauts.
Uh-huh.
Well, so the picture to the right shows the square with the triangle on top, and it looks like a little beard coming off, and it says Santa Claus. Well, this is Cepheus. Cepheus sits atop the chimney, which you can see is in the constellation going down below that, which is the world tree. And Cassiopeia, Mrs. Claus, sits on the other side. Now, the myth is that Cepheus went and got the secret of the gods and is to bring it back to man. This is the way it is all throughout the Germanic and Norse lore, also with where Odin hangs himself on the world tree, Yggdrasil, to gain enlightenment. He trades an eye for inner vision, and there's all these stories associated with this, but this is where our story of Santa Claus climbing the chimney comes in. And everybody knows that Santa Claus, when he climbs down our chimney, brings a sack full of presents that he puts under the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these presents under the trees are the Amanita muscaria mushrooms, because under pine trees in nature, this is where you find them. If you go up and look in December, you'll go up and you'll find these mushrooms, brightly colored, big red and white ones underneath pine trees, because they're a mycorrhizal symbiont, meaning that the actual living organism of the mushroom isn't the mushroom itself. The mushroom is a fruit of the organism.
Mm-hmm.
The organism actually lives underground, and it's called mycelium,
mm-hmm.
and it attaches to the roots of the pine tree, and they live in a symbiosis where the mushroom feeds the tree and the tree feeds the mushroom, and they are beneficial to each other. Now, the mushrooms produce fruiting bodies underneath the tree, which are the mushrooms. The mycelium produces these mushrooms, which are the fruit. So if you look under the trees in nature, you're going to find these mushrooms. This is why Santa Claus brings a sack full of gifts down the chimney, because these same mushrooms are the secret food of the gods, the secret knowledge of the gods. They are the golden fleece, the Holy Grail, the Amrita. All of these different myths are told throughout the world, and many of them are associated with the mushrooms, either Amanita muscaria or Amanita pantherina, or even psilocybin mushrooms growing out of cow pies and out in the valleys.
The little brown ones.
The little brown ones, yes.
Same kind of thing. Okay, now, for safety's sake, let us caution people not to run out in the woods and start eating these things.
Right, especially when they're young. And this is something important, too. Nobody should go pick any mushrooms after this show and try to eat them unless they really study it and they really learn and know what they're doing.
That's any mushrooms, folks. Any
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because there's over 15,000 known mushrooms.
That many.
Uh-huh. And there's several thousand that are toxic, deadly, and poisonous. And if you eat them, you will surely die.
You will go to the North Star.
That's right. And just as the serpent told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the day you eat it, it's like 24 hours on some of these mushrooms and you'll be dead. But the Amanita muscaria mushroom, which we know now, and because of paintings discovered all over the world, the Amanita muscaria mushroom was the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Uh-huh. Then there's the portobello mushroom, which is a crowd pleaser everywhere.
That's correct. And there's many, many wonderful edible mushrooms that are out there that, fortunately, now they're coming into some grocery stores I see, and people are actually getting a taste of some of this, which they never could get before. And I would highly recommend people go try some chanterelles and morels, because these mushrooms, as well as the boletes, are so wonderful tasting, and you've never tasted anything like them. They don't taste anything at all like the Agaric campestris that we are used to finding in the
I've had the morel before. I'm pretty sure. How do you spell it?
Morel.
Yeah, well, those are around.
Yes, they are.
Not plentiful, but they are delightful.
They look like little brains.
Yeah, okay. All right, hold on. We're going to come right back and continue our picture tour. Rest of the hour with James Arthur, maybe a little bit more after that. We're going to have a special visit with geologist Jim Birkeland a little bit later tonight in our third hour at some point regarding today's major earthquake in California. Jim Birkeland predicted again one would happen, and he hit it on the money. So all that and much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Arthur. All right, sir, go right ahead.
Okay, we're on number 6 now, the picture showing the world tree on the left. This tree shows snakes down at the root system and a bird up at the top, which is a connection between the heaven and the earth. This is where we get Mercury. Mercury had wings on his helmet. He could fly to the heavens. This is where we get angels. Angels have wings, and they are the messengers to the gods. And the gods climb this world tree. This is why Santa Claus goes up and down our chimney. The shamans in Siberia go in and out of the smoke hole of the yurt, and this is how they get into your house. This is how they bring the mushrooms in their sacks and put them underneath your tree.
Okay.
So then we have the caduceus on the right, which is also a representation of the world tree, and this world tree also represents drugs and plant drugs and the secrets of plant drugs, but we're not going to have time to get into that, unfortunately. But we see also the snake entwined tree on the right. Now this snakes and trees thing, this is all part of that secret knowledge of pharmacopoeia, which is one of the things that is kept from mankind. And instead we're given poisonous substances under the guise of the health organizations who wield their symbol of the caduceus to control all of the substances that we can put into our bodies, all the way from the ownership of a license where you have the caduceus. You've sworn an oath to take upon yourself the symbol of the caduceus, and now you can buy and sell drugs.
Pretty bad corruption of the whole thing. Pretty amazing.
That's right. So our next picture shows a secret painting from the Renaissance on the left that has a Christmas tree on the top and the single eye above the tree, which represents the mushroom, and the gills of the mushroom come out from the eye just like they come out from the roots of the tree to the right. Now this particular tree it looks like a combination, an ornamented tree that's half pine and half oak. This is because the Amanita muscaria and the Amanita pantherina grow under these two trees respectively.
Oh, so they've depicted both of them there.
They've depicted both trees.
How interesting. They made a composite tree because those two mushrooms grow under those two trees.
And if you look to the right, you'll see a picture of a mushroom that looks like it's been cut off at the roots or the stalk. And this mushroom here is a Psilocybe cubensis, which is a psilocybin-containing mushroom, and it's very obvious. On the left side, you see a bunch of caps of mushrooms that look like little Christmas hats or little stocking caps, and these are called liberty caps. They're another Psilocybe mushroom. They're Psilocybe semilanceata. So in this picture, you have represented Amanita muscaria, Amanita pantherina, Psilocybin cubensis, and the liberty caps, Psilocybe semilanceata. All of the 4 main mushrooms that are known to be the gods, and actually the secret to the Most High is the combination between psilocybin and amanitas. The 2 mushrooms together produce the state of mind that we know as the Most High. So to the right we have the Kabbalah tree of life, which is the pine tree. This one is turned upside down, and the crown chakra, the Kether, is at the root system. As we talked about earlier, the living organism is actually mycelium, and it lives in the roots of the trees. This is why the crown is at the root of the Kabbalistic tree of life here, and why we have the light, or the shining bright light of God, at the root system of the combination tree to the left. So this is all the tree of life and the Christmas tree, all the same thing. In the next picture down below, you see Jesus on the cross here, crucified to the far bottom right, and the mushroom that he is superimposed over the top of him. The particular cap structure shows us that this is a Psilocybe cubensis, one of the mushrooms that grows into the cow patties.
Where is it superimposed? I can't quite make it out.
Well, the cap of the mushroom is outlined by the black on the top.
Oh, okay.
And you see how it comes down about halfway and then turns white. And then Jesus is the stem of the mushroom, of course.
I see.
The male.
So the upper 40% of this illustration is evocative of a mushroom cap. Okay. With Jesus on the stalk.
Right. Now, to the far left bottom, you see the Gnostic or alchemical representation of Jesus as the snake. Now, there's a lot of people who tell you in occultic circles and Gnostic circles that Jesus is the snake because it was his same spirit of freedom, or his same supposed teaching of freedom, that was the serpent in the Garden of Eden who offered the fruit to mankind to enlighten them and bring them out of their blind observance and slavery to the God who would have them just obey. So above that, we have Jesus holding the cross. And above that, we have another deity nailed to a cross. Now, this particular one is Wodenaz, or Wotan, or Woden, which is where we get our 15th century Santa Claus out of Germany and the Dutch Santa Claus from, is these gods. Also died on the cross, also climbed the world tree. This is hanging on the world tree. The cross is the symbol for the mushroom and the death and rebirth experience. And we have a couple of our first Christmas cards here, the one in the top middle and the bottom middle. The top one showing a cross with snow on it, and the mushrooms at the bottom of the cross. And then we have the tree, the pine tree at the bottom, and the mushrooms at the base of the pine tree.
Very good. Okay. Those are two of the very earliest color Christmas cards. And take a look at those. We'll pause and come right back. Taking a look at the beginnings of Christmas and that mushroom that is so often seen in Christmas illustrations and so forth. Okay, James, let's move ahead. Number 9.
Number 9, we have a picture of the Annunciation, and since Christmas is the birth of the mushroom, we have to have the Annunciation, which is the magical experience associated with the appearance of an angel, who I think we talked before was an angel. The mushrooms are the angels. The wings represent the cap. But this Gabriel here, and he's often associated with Amanita pantherina because he wears oak leaves on his cape. But this one here, you see over the top of his head is an obvious Amanita muscaria mushroom.
Great big one, yeah.
A very big one. And so this is not the exception. This is actually the norm. We find this all throughout these paintings of angels and their encounters with man. Right below this, we have the Amanita mushroom on the left in its state where it starts to break open the cap. And we have Joseph of Arimathea holding the mushroom, Jesus, in his hand. Now, Jesus is known to be wrapped in swaddling clothes in the Christmas tradition. And the word swaddling means to constrict or to wrap around constricting. And the Amanita mushroom, there is an Amanita that's known as Amanita constricta because the sac-like bulb at the bottom constricts the stalk of the mushroom as it emerges. So Jesus wrapped in swaddling clothes is the mushroom in this depiction. Below that, we have another thing that just shows us that the Christmas presents underneath the tree, like these cards we showed earlier, are the hidden representative of the mushroom. And we give each other presents underneath the trees wrapped in boxes that we don't know, so we don't know what's in them, to make a mimic of what happens in nature. Out in nature, there's something there underneath the trees, but we just don't know what it is until all of a sudden we're given that information. Now, below that, we have associated on the left the chimney sweep. Now, the chimney sweep was also known as Black Pete in the Dutch and German traditions. Black Pete used to go around with Santa Claus, and Santa wasn't always just a jolly guy that would give you a treat, because if you were bad, Black Pete would whip you with a birch whip.